Welcome, Merry Marvellites. Welcome to your after Black Panther weekend on Marvel Movie News.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Marvel Movie News.
Artfully done.
Thank you. I was going to say about, facts about Black Panther, but I think
There was no time. It was an explosive
the
intro.
cork pop.
It was the choice was made.
Wow.
Excelsior to you, our Merry Marvellites. This is episode 168, and we are coming to you live from where else? Wakanda. And we are here to tell you why we are excited about all the news from all the studios and why you should be as excited as we are about this glory. And there's so much to talk about this week. So we are going to tell you to subscribe to us on iTunes, to find us at Marvel News there, to subscribe to us on YouTube at youtube.com/Popcorn Talk Network. Find us on Popcorn Talk website, popcorntalknetwork.com. Follow us on Twitter at Marvel News PTM or Popcorn Talk. Facebook, facebook.com/Marvel News Show. Follow us, like us, and if you watch the show live and retweet a link to the show whilst we are live, Aunt Manthony in the booth will retweet you.
Oh my God, Wakanda forever, now and forever. My God, what a film.
I've been so excited to have this episode for 3 weeks because Marquis and I saw it some time ago.
Yes.
And we have been waiting for deep discussion, and now that I've seen it again in IMAX, and everyone has seen it because it made all the money, we can talk about it much further. So, before we start our talks, I want to let you guys know, this episode, we're going to lead with some box office facts, then we're going to go full spoilers. We're going to dive deep. It's going to get... The ending will be revealed. So if you haven't seen the show, we're going to wave before and after the spoilers. You can kind of block that out. And then at the end of the show, we're going to do the news because I don't think, honestly, Marquia will survive waiting another half an hour. And I feel like she needs to get it all out of her system. So we're going to do this unboxing to lead the show because I don't know what's in here. And it says Marquia's
What's in the box?
What's in the box?
None of us know what's in the box.
Oh, but first I need to introduce everybody.
Yeah. While I'm cutting open the box, this is sent to us by Taylor Lambert from Disney. This is one of a couple of boxes that we're supposed to get filled with Black Panther stuff. So while he introduces our guests, I will be opening the box.
Thank you, Taylor Lambert.
Thank you.
First up is my buddy Ronen, who saw the movie with me last night.
Yes, sir.
Who doesn't have a Twitter because he lives very freely, and I'm jealous about that, but he does have an Instagram. So you can find this man's pretty face on Instagram at
Ronen Rubinstein.
So I wanted to gather a person who loves Black Panther by way of just having seen the movie, and a man who loves Black Panther by way of knowing much about him, because Marquis is here giving me the knowledge, but I want someone else that knows so much as well. We got the newly recovered Mr. Jay Washington.
Hey man, thank you for having me. I'm glad to be back. Let's just be realistic. I am glad to be alive. It has been a past scary couple of weeks and whatnot. The film, I'm glad I got to see the film before I got sick and had to go in the hospital. But I got to see it, the press screening, same screening premiere night. Loved it then, have loved it the 3-4 other times I've seen it since then. It is a film that, if it hasn't grown on you, it grows on you, and you want to keep seeing it again because you want the visuals, you want the experience over and over again.
100%.
And so I'm glad to be here with y'all, and everybody knows I love this chick, so I'm here with her.
I wanted.
There's so many toys in this box!
I wanted the different perspectives of people that are casual Black Panther fans to diehard Black Panther fans.
Oh, that's coming home with me.
Okay, we're diving in. We're diving into the unboxing.
Yeah, that's coming home with me.
Okay, so this is a figurine set of it's all the people of Black Panther. It has Eric Killmonger as the Jaguar. It has Nakia. It has T'Challa as the Black Panther. It has Shuri.
No, it has Wakabi's Rhino.
And it has
Yeah.
a war rhino.
Yes.
You know you gotta love. I'm just gonna, alright.
Oh my Jesus!
This is how Disney never sends us anything again.
Yo.
Sick.
So
This is how you love this. Look at
Oh,
this.
these are dope.
These are so
incredible.
Oh
That
my-
is
That is
Look at this
sick.
articulated Black Panther.
So which one do I
You
get to
can
take home is the
actually
question.
switch
Oh,
out
this
the
is
head,
rad.
and you can switch out the claws. He's like, I
man.
mean business, and I don't mean business. And this is a thing that happens right now. And we have Funko Pop.
So these are part of the set that they made for the film, the special set right here.
Yes, we have Shuri, Nakia,
Nakia.
and Black Panther as Warrior Falls. There are different kinds of Black Panther that happen.
Look at this one though.
And we have this right now.
You see this one?
Yes. Oh my God, the
Can I
Adore
say
Balls.
something?
Please.
This was not planned
Please.
at all.
Please.
However-
Ronen, go for it.
However, this is the weirdest coincidence. I brought you guys.
Hilarious.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh, that's so dope.
That is so
not
dope.
here.
And it's not one of those.
I thought my surprise was truly ruined.
Oh, that's amazing.
Y'all,
So let's do this.
Ronen brought us Black Panther, the vinyl.
Dude,
Black
that's a sick one.
Panther
Look at that.
bobblehead.
With Chadwick's face.
Now we have so much glorious Funko
Oh
Black
my
Panther.
All right.
I can't. That wow.
That's funny. Out of the ones we get.
I
Out
got
of
a
the- all
book
the
bag
ones.
And then we
somewhere.
have
Beautiful.
the Adorables features,
Hell yeah.
Black Panther, the vinyl collection, and these are they're Adorables. They are what their namesake says.
Yeah, they're-
where it's just like they stand up and
I
they
wish I
just
was a
kind of
little kid
roll
again.
around a little bit, and it's all the good things.
They're so cute.
Yeah, we have Eric Killmonger's and we have Black Panther's vinyl collectibles. That is happening.
And
Coy, what you
these
have?
are this is my childhood. Like like the 5.5
Yeah.
inch action figure
Yo.
from like the 95 animated series Spider-Man day. This is what I played with. So seeing
let's
this,
lay this down the front too.
like this is legit a Black Panther toy that is a vibranium edition of a character that has deserved this kind of toy forever.
And
This
look
movie
at
is
that. The
making
little,
magic happen.
You could feel even
Oh, this
that,
is-
the
oh,
The
yeah.
texture
texture
is
of it's
insane.
gonna
Yeah,
be
the
like
texture's
vibranium.
crazy.
So cool.
Look at this stuff.
Yeah,
It's
and of
crazy.
those texturized, we have
So-
Black Panther, and we also have Eric Killmonger, and we have Vibranium Black Panther, which is completely
look at this
different. He is ready to rumble.
Yo, but this Legends though is the dope.
Well, I mean, it's
So-
the Legends toy is insane, dude.
So let me see if I can fit this Legends toy in my hoodie. Is what I'm trying to figure out.
There was never a Black Panther toy with the Spider-Man set.
You know
So
what I
I'm
love?
just
I love about
enjoying
the
his
Legends.
friends.
You know what I love about the Legends toy is it has the interchangeable claws from different poses, from the open hand, from like the
Yeah.
grip to the fist to the regular open hand. Like I love the hand grips on these.
Yo, this Killmonger's crazy.
So okay, let's sit the
Oh
Legends
my
here.
God.
See that?
Yeah.
That is so sweet of them.
Look at that face.
Taylor Lambert from Disney, you're awesome.
Dude, that's so
Awesome.
sick. All right,
Those are
look at that.
awesome.
Look at that beautiful spread.
Yes.
Oh my, yeah, that's beautiful.
This
Look at us
beautiful
looking
big
at ourselves.
box.
So thank you so much, Taylor Lambert. This is an incredible spread, and thanks for the Funko we didn't have.
Dude, I thought it was gonna be just like a second or completely ruined, and this is amazing.
No, you were right on the money
You're
with
right
this.
here in front.
Hell yeah!
You're right
That's
here.
so
All right,
sick.
perfect. Thank you.
So that is a lot of glorious toys, guys. This is beautiful. I'm very excited. So we need to talk about Black Panther full spoilers, but before we do, we need to talk about the fact that the box office will never be the same again after this movie
Never.
dropped.
It is
Oh, I
changed
love all
numbers.
those conservative estimates where it's like, oh, maybe they'll hit 100.
Maybe 75 million. Who knows?
Who knows?
But you know what? I've been saying this for a while. When the predictions for the numbers have been coming out, people underestimated the black dollar. Let's just call it for what it is. Let's just be honest, because people were like, "Oh, there won't be people who come out in droves. People will bootleg this film, blah blah blah." But this movie has garnered repeat viewings. People have brought their families out multiple times. One of my best friends back home in Chicago has literally taken his mother along with his nieces, taking his sister along with her kids, taking his son on 3 different viewings. Dude. So that may not sound like a lot, but when you multiply that up times the 3,600, maybe 4,000 screens this came out on, that is what generates those numbers. Not to mention pre-sale numbers, things like that. So people underestimated the anticipation, the want to see this, to be a part, to experience this, and that is what has generated these numbers already. Now, of course, the conversation becomes, what about the second week fall off?
Huge.
Oh.
The movie's not a huge fall off. It's gonna be huge.
It's still gonna be
already,
huge.
It's already selling out places. Like I've already looked at numbers of places that are next weekend, and the numbers are crazy now.
Now, you see what I'm saying?
It's
So
nuts because people couldn't see it this weekend. There was so many theaters. Last night
Absolutely.
we had to
We had to
rechange
go to
all of our plans.
Alhambra.
We went to Alhambra.
Alhambra,
Yeah,
California.
we went to Alhambra to see Black Panther last night. So that's what this is doing.
So luckily, her and I were part of a group that we decided back, early mid-January.
Yeah, we were like, no, we're going to secure our spots
we
now.
secured seats for
Smart.
yesterday afternoon in January.
Which
Yeah.
I wore this shirt in.
You did?
Yeah,
I thought you
it's the same
had
shirt.
I thought you had like 4 of those, to be honest. got those shiny
I've
shirts.
got a lot of clothes.
So
Got
I
all
want to
the
just
clothes.
run through some stats, some numbers, some crazy, and then let you guys dive
Oh,
into what this means.
please.
Okay, box office 4-day was underestimated by 7 million yesterday. So the actual total now counted $242 million in 4 days, passing Star Wars The Last Jedi. That means Black Panther passed Star Wars. We knew this was going to be big. I didn't know it was going to be like, hey, every movie ever. Go ahead and just step aside real quick.
Okay, and just to give you a little bit of context for this, for Black Panther surpassing, was that episode 8, right?
Yeah,
Episode 8 of Star Wars. Star Wars is a legacy that started
10
back in the
movies deep.
70s.
It's arguably the
Thank
biggest
you.
film of all time.
Right.
Arduous. Yes. Thank you, Ronen. Yes.
Truly
and
is,
then you have this, and when you really think about Black Panther, he existed for most of people that are seeing the MCU. He existed for how long in Civil War? And then now he has his own film. So he's one of those non-sequential
It's an
films.
origin movie. It's a solo movie. It's the
Exactly.
first.
On the par with, say, Ant-Man or, say, Thor
Right.
and so and so forth. And this movie is the 5th biggest box office of all time. And it's number 1 in the world
yes.
right now.
Just domestically, in 4 days, it made almost $250 million with a B dollars.
You know what I also attribute this to?
I
It's
take your
grassroots.
myths and I smash them with my Thor hammer.
Yes, you should. I credit a lot of what this film has generated in box office due to its grassroots marketing campaign. The way they have promoted this film has been unlike any other Marvel film. Let's just keep it real. When they dropped the teaser trailer during Game 4 of the NBA Finals,
They knew what they were doing. You know what? I think they had people in the know-how in that room to know, hey,
perfect time to drop it.
let's do it this.
And-
Let's get those Marvel people that don't know that they're Marvel people involved now.
Everybody who's watching LeBron versus Kevin Durant, we're gonna
They're
have.
probably going to watch Black Panther.
But no, not even that. Everybody's gonna be glued to their television.
Yeah.
But you're glued to your TV at the NBA Finals no matter what, because this rivalry that's been built up.
Oh, yeah.
And then you drop a 1 minute and 30-second teaser that with that one scene with the car flip, not to mention everything else we saw in it, but that one, everybody was like, wait, what? How soon is February?
But
People
it-
forgot
it's-
about basketball.
You forgot
yeah.
about the game.
We're like, I don't even get
And
it.
that's the thing, is the demographic of people that watch sports is your 18 to 35 demographic you want to nail, but it's also the movie got Time magazine. Like for me,
Yeah.
that was the moment for me, was like 18 to 35 watching sports. You've got people that watch movie trailers are going to watch movie trailers. For me, when it got Time magazine, it was everyone that might not watch a movie unless it's an Oscar film. People that go to Lemley instead of ArcLight. People that like see those things.
It's insane because, I mean, from my knowledge, Black Panther, just the history of it, I mean, it doesn't have the same amount of attention nearly as, let's say, a Spider-Man or Thor or X-Men or anything. So the fact that it came out pretty much out of the blue, just like that.
Well, that's why I wanted to talk to you about it, because you knew Black Panther from Civil War, and you knew Black
Yeah.
Panther casually as a Marvel fan. So my idea for the show was talking about what it's like to watch a movie only knowing the character from that perspective versus I know the character from Avengers comics and some comics.
Yeah.
They know the character like the back of their hand. So the idea that the movie affected all of us in such big ways, but we all have different exposure to it. And now like grandmas in Idaho are saying T'Challa and
Yeah.
M'Baku. And
I
like
love
how
that.
crazy is it like someone knows who
Yeah.
Zuri is? Like that's nuts to me. So you went into the movie knowing like, hey, Civil War, hey, Black Panther, all
Yeah.
of this. Now that it's made these kind of numbers, how do you think it's going to reshape Black
Well,
Panther?
you know, I would assume that not everyone that watches superhero films have grown up reading comics and following comic books and superheroes. So, as myself, and I personally told you this when I saw Civil War, off the bat, I was like, Black Panther has the sickest costume ever.
Yeah.
So just aesthetically, you can't take your eyes off him, right? And then it's Chadwick Boseman, which is one of my favorite actors in the game right now. You know, and people, I think, I don't even know if they really know what body of work he's done.
Dude, every
You know,
biopic.
James Brown, Jackie Robinson, now Thurgood Marshall. Like, that's no joke.
Yeah.
Just one of those characters is like literally life-changing in real life.
And they feel like different roles. Like all
They're
of his
all
work
different.
feels like a
They're all
different
different. He
character.
is. People don't talk about it, but he is a character actor.
Yeah.
He's right up there with the Joaquin Phoenixes, with the Scoot McNairys, with the Christian Bales. You could go into that,
Yeah.
right? But now he has the biggest platform in film, maybe in the world.
And it did this number.
And
like
it did this number.
It did that's
so
like, to me,
in a
that's-
way, it's a little almost not surprising because it deserves every single piece of it. But it's also like, wow, this came out pretty much out of nowhere, except for Civil War, and then after that, it was like, whoa.
build up.
Well, I think
It's
I
just
agree
like-
with the kind of came out of nowhere, but I think one of the big things behind this too, we forget when Marvel unveiled their slate at Comic-Con that had this on it. You know, there was talk of this being a film, and it's been talk of Black Panther having a film for years.
Right.
Yeah.
But once you saw it on the slate, you knew it was official and it was real. You know, we've gone through the iterations where it's been in the comics again since the 60s, where he's been a part of the Fantastic Four over and over again. We've gone to the point where he had the cartoon that came on BET at 2 in the morning.
Yeah, 2010.
Right.
Josh Schmidt.
Things that didn't really garner full-scale attention. But when Marvel started becoming this juggernaut, and they started saying, we're going to do a bunch of films a lot of people may not be too familiar with. When they did Guardians, if Guardians worked, they could do anything.
Yeah.
And it did. And then on the slate, you saw Black Panther, and you were like, wait, what? This could change. Until Civil War, when the character was in the film, that's one thing. The post-credit scene lets you know we're for sure getting this movie. And so that already hyped up, no matter what was coming behind it.
And for me, it getting 242 million shows that it's not just people that even knew about the slate. To me, this was like the slate showed people like us, like the slate showed people that have Marvel talk shows to go to and people that go to Comic-Con. 242 million means that people brought their grandmas that probably didn't know who Spider-Man was, like possibly didn't know who Spider-Man was.
I don't think we even have to go with the grandmas with it. I'm talking brothers and cousins.
Yeah.
What about me?
I'm
I
talking
had no
sisters.
idea.
Yeah.
I'm talking friends.
talking Ronen.
I'm a young
Yeah.
People that are like, oh yeah, I read a couple of Marvel comics, back when. I don't know about this, Black Panther cat, so and such. Is that his name? Black Panther cat? I don't know about him so much and so forth, but I know that I saw Civil War, or maybe they didn't even see Civil War. But it's like, I really appreciate, his gravitas. I would have killed Zemo, for sure, but, whatever.
Yeah,
and
I
then
wouldn't
he
have caught
has
that
his own thing, and you kind of see the buildup around that. You kind of recognize where it's like, wow, this means a lot to other people. I never really thought about it for me. I saw Civil War because everybody was all about, Iron Man and Captain America. I'm like, I don't know these cats, such and so forth.
Pun intended.
And then, exactly. The Captain America cat. That's his name, right? So then, I'll go see Black Panther. I'm free on that weekend and such. And then see that and have things just turned upside down for you, just to be a part of. I'm just going to say it's a cultural event. It is as much of an event as I would like to think when Star Wars came out.
Oh, absolutely.
And people came out in droves to go to a galaxy far, far away. But for this, they go to an Afrofuturistic country called Wakanda that exists on our planet at this time. And they get to delve into this world of superheroes that we have been a part of all of our lives. And they get to join that in us. Not only join that in us, but woefully embraced in that world with us. Wakanda forever.
That's a thing, for sure.
They get to experience that, and we get to experience their first time experiencing that, and we get to see them doing cosplay. They don't even realize they're doing cosplay.
No, they don't.
That first time of them experiencing this, and I'm just so happy to be a part of this.
So I want to run through some numbers.
Yes.
And then I want to show a little clip from another very talented man talking about Black Panther. And then we're just going to dive into spoilers. So before we dive into that, I got to say, it made $40.2 million on a Monday. President's Day, sure, but on a Monday, which is the highest Monday of all time. So other movies have had Mondays. Other movies have had President's Day. This one made $40 million on that's the budget of a lot of mid-range films.
Yes,
it made it
is.
on a Monday.
On a Monday.
Like, that's what, Looper cost. Like, that's on a Monday.
Wait, did you say Looper?
Yeah, that's right. A mid-range quality sci-fi film. I said it out loud. Talked about it.
I love sci-fi, and I enjoyed Looper.
I'm just saying, out of all films, Looper.
I went with it.
They have to eventually change the day of the week to Marvel instead of Monday.
At this point,
It's like what we were
Thursday.
joking about.
Yeah.
We were joking about in the
That's
theater,
fine.
like the Hollywood sign is going to get changed to Marvel.
I'm waiting for Stan Lee to be
I
in the
like that.
100. It's
There's
coming.
just-
I would never spend that bill.
So that means it made 201.8 in the 3 days. It cleared 200 in 3 days, and then plus that 40.2, 242 million domestic, just stateside in 4 days. So that is the second highest of all time, behind only The Force Awakens. Now keep in mind, that's The Force Awakens. That's the first Star Wars back after we were all castrated. That's the first Star Wars back after we lost our childhoods.
No,
So
we didn't.
I'm just saying, there was more people waiting for Star Wars, that Star Wars, than arguably any other movie. Like, we had our childhoods, and then we had the prequel experience, and then we had Force Awakens. So that movie had, like, the big, 30 years of grassroots campaign,
Yep.
30 years of geekdom, 30 years of the internet growing.
Yeah.
Black Panther is only behind that one. That's insane. That means it beat The Avengers, which had 5 movies of lead up. That means it beat Jurassic World, which had 3 movies and a lot of hype of lead
A
up.
lot of history.
And it beat The Last Jedi, which just came out and also had a ton. Like, there's no underplaying how important this is.
Yeah, you cannot tell me there is not a market for this.
Well,
you cannot
well, I was gonna
say
go.
that.
I was gonna go to what you said earlier about how bringing brothers and sisters, and not when it comes to grandparents. That's the thing. It did. You had grandparents who had never seen a comic book film. Period. Not a Spider-Man.
Right, that's what I'm
not
saying,
a
grandparents,
Blade.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
they never. But those are the older African American community. They knew that I might not have ever seen one of these, but I'm going to go see this.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a part of this. And that in itself spoke volumes to what this film means. Like you keep saying, it is an event on such a significant level because of you having, you and I, Marquis, we've all had the discussion. This is the first major blockbuster black superhero-led film by a major studio. This is the first time this has ever.
And yes, we know New Line Cinema
And Blade
did
was
Blade.
And Blade was marketed
And that
as a
was
superhero.
1998.
And they advertised it as a thriller.
It was
And
a thriller.
I love Blade.
love
And I love
Blade.
Blade.
I feel like it definitely exploded the MCU. I
Yeah.
don't know if you've
It
seen my movie
preceded
facts or my
X-Men, it
Nerdist
preceded-
video, but it's like, yes, Blade did that for us. It took superhero films from bad
Cap with
nipples.
We'll never drop bad nipples,
into
y'all.
what
Yeah.
into what we have now.
And we'll
So
never, like,
we're
Blade
not
is
taking
so
away
important.
from any other.
No, we're not. Right, you're never
for
taking away from
anything like
any
that.
other film
But we are focusing
on this one.
the amazingness
Of this
now.
one and what this has done,
And that is what today is
the
about.
encapsulation of what it's become for everybody. You see, people have never before this film. No one outside of comic book fans knew who the Dora Milaje were.
Right.
You didn't know that. You didn't know about Shuri. You didn't know who the little girl genius was. But now,
It's a shame, but now you know.
But now you know.
Now you know.
And I'd argue Marvel has the best Q to date because Shuri is awesome.
I also
Shuri,
will say,
okay, Disney. I don't.
comedy.
Hey, Disney, we opened your box today, so maybe you are watching. I believe that you should put Shuri as your Disney princess, and she should be in Tomorrowland, right? Is what it's called.
yeah.
Tomorrowland. Put her in a lab in Tomorrowland and have her greet people there. Do a breakfast with Shuri, and you
I agree.
You talk about equations.
Talk about science and tech because
And talk
kids
about
need a
science
role
and tech
model
and just
to
like
encourage
funness
science.
and positivity,
And-
and let's just have that.
and they kept her at 16, which is perfect. That is the perfect age to do that. So, but we can go further.
So I want to quickly show a clip from another fan of Black Panther who had this to say. He had nothing to say, but oh wait, now he has something to
There he
say.
is.
Chadwick, Michael, Lupita, Daniel, Forrest, Angela, Ryan, congratulations. Denai, what you have done is spectacular. I watched the film, a couple of days ago, and it damn near got brought to tears. You guys have challenged and potentially even shattered a lot of long-held false Hollywood beliefs and paradigms. I just want to say congratulations to you. I'm proud and I'm excited, damn near giddy. Congrats, y'all. Go get it. We're going to keep it right there. We're going to keep it right there.
For the culture.
For the
Will
culture.
Smith.
For the culture.
Yo, if Hancock is telling y'all that, shut up. Yo, that's how I feel like.
And
again-
you know Wesley has a video somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
You know he does.
Yo, I'm-
I
Mr.
just
4th of
didn't- I just
July.
didn't
Let me-
find it.
let me-
Mr. 4th
I
of July
just
himself
didn't
was
find
like,
it.
by the way, like that's to
Angela
me.
Will's
Bassett
like,
has one.
none of my
Ava
game.
has one.
Shouts out to Lupita, who was, remember, she said she was trying to get tickets.
Yeah,
to
I
go
remember that
see
her
it.
driving her
Yeah,
house.
because she forgot. And
She was like, I'm trying to.
well, I
Everybody was like,
haven't
why would you
seen
try
it."
to get tickets? She like, I want to support the film.
So, but one of the screenings I was in had a family of 8 go in together, and they were all like the closest knit family I've seen. And it was a great grandma, a grandma, a son, and then the kids, and it was 8 people total. And that's why I keep going back to grandmas, because the grandma I had to talk to, because it was the cutest thing to see that interaction. The great grandma hadn't been to a movie since like 1976, I think she said. So the grandma hadn't been out to theater, she hadn't seen any of this stuff, and she was so like, you know when you see like a little kid in the movie theater, how they're just like, this was a great grandma, just in it, living it, experiencing it. And for me, that means she missed 1976 means she missed every major superhero movie.
Yeah.
To me, that means she didn't even see, like, Michael Keaton's Batman. She, like, Adam West wouldn't even have been, like, that's insane. So she came out to see Black Panther. So to me, that 240 plus million, everyone is seeing this movie, and that means everything. So I have plenty of spoilers. I have plenty of things I want to talk about. So internet, if you're watching this and you haven't seen Black Panther yet, this is going to be spoilery.
Yes, at this point we haven't been spoilery, but now is the point of the spoilery, so go see the movie and then come back to us for the spoilery. And
then at the end of this, we're going to wave again and we have news. So we want to lead with Black Panther. At the end, we've got a couple things to talk about, but for the next bit, this is going to be spoilerific.
And I'm sorry for our iTunes people. The reason why we can't give you a timestamp is that we literally sit here and we talk until Aunt Anthony in the booth is like, hey, you have to stop talking now.
Sounds done.
That's how it
works. So we very much apologize for that.
So I think we go in some semblance of order, break it all down, and then we'll have a more chaotic
Let's just talk about the very beginning of this film.
Yes.
Since we're going to talk about spoilers.
But real quick, if you want to join us next week, we will have a stunt woman, also Adora Malache.
Yeah.
On the show next week, that'll be February 27th at 2 p.m. PST. We'll be talking about behind the scenes and what it's like being part of a Marvel movie, especially being Adora Malache. So that will be next week. I don't know how spoilery that will get, but that should give you enough time.
It's already done it now, so I mean, if we do it now, it shouldn't matter.
No, for iTunes people that are
waited 2 weeks to see it. That waited 2 weeks to see it.
Yo, I got my life to live. Marvel movie.
I don't think nobody.
No, they're living wrong. You're living wrong if you waited 2 weeks to see Black Panther. That life, no.
No, you're living wrong.
But let us continue.
So let's go chronologically. Let's break this experience down.
Okay.
Sterling K. Brown.
So the very beginning, so those who don't understand, the movie opens, if you have to pay attention, the movie opens where you hear a voice that says, Baba. Baba is African for father, which I love they kept that. Tell me a story about home. And Sterling K. Brown is telling the story of how Wakanda came to be. And it gives you the origin of Wakanda right then and there, from the meteorite.
Quick to the point.
Quick to the point, from the
beautiful
meteorite.
animatics to set the tone of the film.
With the sand.
And welcome all of you people that didn't realize that was Sterling K. Brown's voice.
Yes. Who did.
To this point, welcome to our moment.
The second
I knew. No,
he
I
said,
knew.
For me, it was like 3
viewing,
words. He said like 3 words, and I was like, oh, this is us. I'm going to cry. It's going to happen.
My first viewing after the ancestral plane with Michael B. Jordan. After that, then I was like, oh my God. That was
Sterling K. Brown.
That was Sterling. Where's Shuri?
And then you hear him tell the story of how, what I loved about him telling the story was not just the fact the vibranium head and the tribes and the situations, how they came together in one split, but everything in the world that literally happened. They literally talked about slavery.
Yes.
Like they
because
didn't.
You know how people are about that.
But no, what I'm saying is you didn't omit it. Because they were saying how Wakanda saw how the world was falling apart from World War II, slavery, all these different elements. But Wakanda said, you know what? We're not going to deal with that.
That doesn't affect us,
which
we can recognize.
Right, which we can
with different things that happens in our life. That's why you have the isms. That's why you have ableism.
Absolutely.
And such. You have to be very aware.
I love movies that reference things as happening in the history of the world, but also how it affected that culture that doesn't necessarily exist. Like, we're talking about a fictional land that was affected by something that did exist. So not only does that go, hey, this is something that needs to be discussed, but it also goes, hey, this actually happened. These are the ramifications. Maybe pay attention, world, without being like, this is political commentary.
Yeah.
Like, it was the perfect blend of subject matter.
Yes, where you have that first ruler, Bashinga, I believe his name was, the first Black Panther. You have that first one where he's just like, you know what? We have mountains surrounding us, and they don't really know that we're here, and we can make do with this stuff.
We're good.
And, we're good. So how about we just lay quiet for a second and we do us?
And to hear that it is the most technologically advanced nation in the world from jump.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, oh, all of a sudden they went leaps and bounds. From the moment they had the vibranium
culture.
It was like A, B, C.
Ronen,
So-
how did you like this opening sequence and how they told it? They did it like in sand, where the sand comes alive.
I love because it was to the point, it was immediate, and it was in elements, like you said, that we've never seen before, that's really strange sand, and how it, for me, I love that it was like a very big thank you and I love you to Mother Nature. They're like, hey, this is in the center of the planet. It's a place called Africa. If you haven't forgotten about it, it's incredible. The planet's resources are incredible. We need to take care of this planet. It's like Wakanda to me was just a beautiful metaphor for just the entire earth. How we should like love it and embrace it and take care of it and take care of the people that live on it, because we only have one planet and we only have one Wakanda. You know what I mean? So just from the top, it was like, whoa, everyone could relate to this. Everyone is a human. Everyone could relate to the beauty of Mother Nature. And then boom. And
the story made
Black
sense
Panther.
going in that way, like as a because there's so many characters in the movie that have names that are hard to pronounce if you haven't heard them. These are characters like I didn't know how to say Njobu until I watched the movie, and it did it as a viewer that didn't know the history of the comics. Did the way they showed exposition like that launch you into the world so you were like invested up?
Absolutely, because they could have easily spent maybe the first 10, 15, 20 minutes explaining the origins and the background and doing it very step by step, but this was a beautiful kind of fast forward motion of the four rulers, that hand.
Yeah.
That was so cool. The four hands.
The hands that came together.
That
yeah.
was so cool.
Love that.
It was the fact that that's how the movie starts. You can't take your eyes off. You have no time to disconnect or anything. You're in it.
Yeah.
You're
There's
like, here we go.
There's also one other big thing that we have to point out. It's always been said, even through historical research and scientists, that Africa is the cradle of civilization. And that is what we were shown throughout this.
Scientifically proven.
Scientifically
And
proven.
Killmonger mentions it,
And
which
he
I love, which we'll
mentions
get
it.
to later. But Killmonger and his perspective is, in my opinion, Loki's right there. Those two, I think, are my favorite villains in all of the 18 films.
And when you think about it, Loki had
He's way more time to
three
get-
movies
Exactly.
to
That's
get
why I'm
you
so
to
torn.
that. And Michael Bay Jordan, call him
Shows
that
up.
from now on.
I'm not calling him Michael
Michael
Bay.
Bay Jordan.
I'm not calling him Michael Bay Jordan.
Michael Bay Jordan.
I'm calling him Michael B.
He's all of our base. He's all of our base. Let's be honest. He brought it. He's our base.
This one showing of Killmonger, to me, caught up to Loki, who was up until this point what I thought was the shining example of what
Because he was a villain.
Layered.
Because he was a villain, you actually were like, he
You
got
know
a
what?
point.
You got a point. And you know what? I know, and if I don't know, then I understand the circumstances that you are coming from. I get why you are like this. In T'Challa's own words, he is a monster of our own making.
Yeah.
Not only that, but he has the possibility and he has the tools to go forth with his plan. And then when you think about his plan, it's like, oh, you're wrong. You're so wrong.
But you're right.
But I
God,
get
I
it.
did it. I get it.
I get it. But Nakia has a better vision
And what-
of these plans.
The most fascinating thing for me was that they gave him the superhero origin story. If you look at it on paper, to me, what I got out of this movie was, hey, wait a second, Spider-Man Homecoming did an amazing job making the Vulture so likable because he was the underdog. Oh, wait, is Killmonger the orphan that was raised on the streets, that had to be his own man, that was self-reliant, that goes to another culture and goes, what are we doing wrong, and tries to spread the love around to fix the planet? Oh my god, is Killmonger the good guy? They gave him a superhero origin, and they gave the hero the origin that is harder to identify with. If you look at the actual origin of Black Panther, he was born into royalty, but earns it. That is a hard thing to understand. When you're a billionaire and you're like, I still respect my people, I am amongst my people, I care for my people, that is such a hard thing to wrap your brain around. So
Especially for Americans right now.
And he walks the streets.
he walks the streets, he's got only two guards, and they're back. They're not with them. He's with his people.
He
So
walks
for
the
me,
streets.
Killmonger was so identifiable because if you look at superhero origins, Killmonger's is the more, oh, I get that guy. And that was brilliant writing.
Yeah. Please,
Sorry, go ahead.
Ronen. No. Please go ahead.
For me, Killmonger represented the African American, right? When the rest of the characters are based and from actually Africa. So his viewpoints were, hey, our people have been mistreated in this country of America for almost 2 centuries. Mm-hmm. So that's why you could kind of like, yeah, you know, he has these really like extreme viewpoints, but he's totally right in a way, because his people, from what he's learned about growing up in America and then going to the military, which is a whole another conversation of very interesting viewpoints.
Ooh, hard to deal with. Yeah.
His viewpoint is kind of like, yeah, you are totally right. And he's almost like a villain that he kind of becomes like a hero / villain.
Well,
Okay,
you know,
round.
like four centuries, but close to 5. Yeah. Exactly, but with what you're saying, I enjoy that viewpoint where it's like, yes, he is the only one out of, besides for Everett Ross, that actually comes from an American viewpoint.
Mm-hmm.
And his American viewpoint, and then that's something that is established in the film where it's like, I've learned from the colonizers. I know how they think.
Yep.
I know how to bring them down. And when you really think about it, another interesting underlying theme for this film is Western imperialism.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I love them calling them colonizers, man. Every time I think it was only 2 or 3 times they said it, but every time I was like,
How should we call them?
Don't scare me like that, colonizer.
like that moment was such a...
The whole theater exploded.
What an
That was so
on-brand
good.
joke. What an in-universe joke that lands so right and so funny and is so like, good God, that is what perspective, what the... Like, I've never been anything but a white American.
We have to remember, M'Baku, he felt the kind of the same way, but from the local perspective.
Indeed.
Because he was up... Remember when he initially challenges T'Challa, his thing was, I'm challenging you because you all are relying on your technology and your vibranium that's being led by a 16-year-old child. You've strayed away from what our culture should be. You know, granted, we're here, but you have that Western mind state, using the technology and all that. So he had a point too.
They all did. It was a Netflix series-esque ability to tell that many arcs. I think this was Marvel's, and this is a big statement, I think this was Marvel's most dense arc landing of any movie.
Yes.
Every single character landed their arc, and every single character had something to say, and it didn't feel out of character. Anytime like Angela Bassett did something in her screen time, we're like, that's something she'd do. Anytime Forrest Whitaker made a move, I'm like, that's a thing. And we just met them. It's like we've lived with these characters forever because their arcs landed, and like their trajectory is beautiful.
Yeah, that and the Easter eggs involved in this film are rival to Guardians, if not more, because it does Marvel Easter eggs and then it does cultural Easter eggs. Like, for instance, T'Challa's line after, you know, that I'm not going to call him smarmy, but whatever, that guy in the UN that's like, what can a nation of farmers give to the rest of the world?
T'Challa was like, fam, let me
Yeah.
tell you something real quick.
That
where
little
he's-
smirk. And
Yeah.
then
I live for that smirk. I live for that. But no, where he said, you know, I'm sorry, the exact phrasing of it, but it was basically the brave and the wise build bridges and the weak build walls. Yeah, basically that. Please correct me, chat room, so I can say it for real for what it means. But that's an old African proverb. I mean, and that is just a little dip in the layers. Oh my God, the layers that exist, the cultural and the Marvel layers that exist in this film. I mean, I would love to have an hour to just delve into everything, going from like Shuri's symbol on her shirt to going, go ahead.
In a time of crisis, the wise build bridges while the foolish build walls.
There we go.
Feels like something that needs to be discussed more often.
I know, right?
Isn't
it?
I love
because
that-
we are all one tribe.
And everyone is going to see this movie, so people that might not have this perspective can go, oh, wait, if the good guy thinks that and I don't think that, how do I feel about... Not to get political on the show, I know you guys... I understand how it's a tricky thing on a superhero show. But it is really important to have that perspective. Even if you disagree with it, it's important to see it.
Yeah, we do not need a Thanos to be one tribe.
You know, and that was the thing, and I love that too about this film. This is an MCU film, right? The only outside element of the MCU you got was Everett Ross and Ulysses Claw in a sense. But
Well, he was from South Africa.
but
yes, or-
he was he's known because he stole vibranium, so that's why he was branded. But as a whole, this movie stood alone. There was no, well, you know, in America right now, there's Iron Man doing this, or there's a monster. There was none of that. This stood alone. Now, when you bring out some of the extra elements, I will say this: Andy Serkis. Granted, we talk about a lot of the cast. is it just me or did it seem like Andy Serkis had the most fun he's had
my
being
man.
this character?
He was filled with maniacal glee, and I was here for it.
Yeah.
I want his SoundCloud
Declare
link.
I want the link.
I want
actually,
the number
I
one
asked him
single,
that.
baby, don't hurt me.
When I interviewed him, I asked him that. It didn't make it into the Nerdist video, but I have what is on his SoundCloud.
Yes.
You know what? I'm gonna pull that today, and I'm gonna put that on my Twitter.
Please.
He said what is on
that's so good.
Claus's SoundCloud.
It was just he had so much fun as the character, and even the interactions with Killmonger, the back and forth with Everett Ross, and everything, and even to the moment when he died, which said it was spoilers, which you never expected.
Especially in the first act, into the first act, into the second,
You're
like really
wait,
kicking
wait.
off Killmonger.
You're
I was like,
oh, we're just gonna do this.
and they did it so smart. They shot him, didn't show him actually they saw him get shot in the chest, but they didn't show the final shot of him getting killed.
Yep.
So I was like, oh, it's a superhero movie. He's gonna come back in the next movie. And then he's dragging his body in Wakanda. I was like, oh, like he's dead. Brilliant editing, brilliant
Michael B.
storytelling.
Jordan just like, hey man, I got something for you real quick. But hold on.
I cannot say enough about Killmonger. The comedy, the hey auntie.
The hey auntie is the great.
Oh my God, that hey auntie.
The casual
Hey auntie.
humor of Michael B. Jordan and the flashbacks to him as a child talking to his dad was some of the most painful. Like it was so emotive, and like they look like. I love the two families looking like families. The kid looked like young Michael B. Jordan,
Yes, he
and he
did.
looked like he could be related to the Sterling K. Brown. So when that twist, which if you read the comics is not as big of a twist, because in the comics they're not cousins, right?
No.
No.
It's just
But
a
he-
Wakandan that's kidnapped.
Yeah, what it still is kind of it's kind of is that still
There's a
storyline where it's like his
family-related.
father was killed because of Wakandan things, but it involves a Shibe, I believe, a Shibe and Claw, and then he's orphaned in America, Harlem.
But
but
Cougar's from
it's still
Oakland.
Arguably one of the sickest physical builds of
Oh,
any
Oh
superhero.
my God!
I mean,
what a
that
beast.
that
As a-
ceremonial
as
scarification.
a dude, you gotta appreciate
But
it. That
but the
is-
thing was, his
dude.
wasn't even ceremonial though.
He did it.
No,
as
no,
changed it.
pride.
But
I know it was.
It's
That's a
based.
lot.
I know,
It's
I know.
like
It's-
it's the Mercy tribe.
No, it's
I
based
believe
off the
it's
crocodile.
Mercy
Yeah, off
tribes
the
in
crocodile
Africa.
scarring. But the
Yeah.
way they
Just
did.
respect for the work ethic of working
To
out
get
like
into
that,
that
dude.
shape.
Holy crap! Like,
Yeah.
It's right up
Yo,
there.
he
with
wasn't even like that for
Yeah.
Creed.
Ryan Reynolds.
I'll-
Yes.
at that moment,
yeah.
okay, at that moment, I'll say this. At that moment, Marquia, he was Michael B. Jordan. I was like,
It was
I was like, hey,
Yes,
fam,
Michael B.
I was like, hey,
He
fam, what type of,
outshined
He is
Black
ours.
Panther.
yeah.
He is
I was like,
ours,
fam, what
Michael
type of
Jordan.
vegan protein you been eating, bro? All that.
Oh,
You better release that workout.
Let's talk about
Please.
vegetarians. Wait, we should
All
we
the
should talk
time.
we should
Yeah.
talk in
He's
like
so good.
we should
Yes.
talk
Should we
in-
transfer over to
It's so hard to
Jay's?
get.
Can we talk about M'Baku?
Can we talk
Yes.
about Jay's Forever? Yeah, dude.
Yes.
Your
Can
boy.
we talk about Winston Duke?
Nobody
for
really
one
wanted. Nobody.
second?
We looked at Winston Duke when you heard he was cast as M'Baku. First of all, if you know the comics, which they couldn't have called this, he's known as Man-Ape in the comics.
M'Baku is known as Man-Ape, which is, hey, the 70s were a hell of a drug.
It was a hell of a drug. But when you didn't know how prolific this character would be in the film. And then after the trials, after T'Challa beats him in the trials to officially take on the mantle of the king, and then what happens when Killmonger comes and usurps the throne, and then you have Ramona and you have Shuri and Nakia go to with Ross. And first of all, when Ross starts trying to talk, and M'Baku just sits there and goes, and he's still, but wait, if you notice, Ross doesn't catch on at first. He's like, and so we still got to keep trying to do it. And just more of them start barking. He said, you say one more word. He said, you say one more word. I'm going to feed you to my children. And the look of every K. Ross's
The
face.
entire theater goes.
And then he was like, but if you remember the story of gorillas, which they worship, gorillas are vegetarian.
And
Which
then
is
he
such a great
says,
joke.
I'm kidding.
Mike, I'm kidding.
We're
And then laughs
vegetarians.
at hearty laugh like
He laughs at his own vegetarian joke for so
so
long.
hard.
I love it.
Because you could tell
I
that wasn't
love it.
in the script.
And
That was a real laugh.
the
I
humor
get
in
it.
this
We're
movie, like
vegetarians.
Shuri's humor, M'Baku's humor, and the physical humor. One of the things I was so
Yeah.
surprised about that Marvel nailed with this, and Ryan Coogler nailed with this, is after you have this intense car chase scene with Denai Guerrera, and we got to talk about her in a second,
Yeah.
on the top of that car, when the joke lands of her sliding
Sliding it.
down, I was like, how did they that joke joke is amazing.
It just landed perfectly.
Oh my god! And let me just bring it up. Ronen,
What are those? Everybody got to bring up the what are those.
Snickers.
That's so good.
Like I called them. No, sure was like I call them. Listen, I call them sneakers.
No,
And the Back to the Future
It's
reference?
that old American film that Baba used to
Back to
watch.
the Future reference, the self-laced sneakers. Oh.
Or like again, like this is what Marvel
Or it
does.
could actually be sneakers.
This is what Marvel does epically. They'll make extremely beautiful, thought out drama scenes, and then when he's like, he yawns and he's like, "Are you done?
yeah. Everything
you
is
done?
tense. Are you done?
Are you done?"
Or you done?
Like,
Or
that
even
was
when
a
he gets
great
off the plane,
scene,
when he
and he's
gets
like,
off,
"Okay,
when he
never
gets
mind."
off the ship and he first arrives back in Wakanda, and T'Challa, Okoye, and Nakia get off the plane, and he's like, "I'm sorry, Nakia's, I'm sorry for your loss," and then Shuri goes, "Did you freeze?" Like an antelope in there.
Like an
freeze
antelope,
joke.
like an
Did
antelope in
you freeze?
headlights.
The moment of Did You Freeze in the movie, though, that they set up in the trailer, we'd seen that Did You Freeze.
But
so
you
many
didn't
times.
understand what it was all going
And
to
then
lead to.
You
Yeah.
see Black Panther in full suit, which, like, it's an amazing Batman suit. You know what I mean? You've got this badass suit.
Yeah.
And then
Yes.
you see the most badass suit guy go, hey.
Hey,
Oh my
The whole
god.
theater exploded. The whole theater exploded.
Recognize me that.
Everyone's been that guy, but never in a Black Panther suit.
he was like,
Right.
he was
Hey.
Nakia.
Nakia.
I was there
But then
for it.
T'Challa, when he
Marvel's
told him, he was
comedy,
like,
man.
when T'Challa was like, so y'all done? Y'all done?
They landed what it's like to try to talk to a girl while being a superhero. They landed a Looney Tunes joke with that car.
Yes, they
Yeah.
They
did.
landed
They landed
siblings.
cannibalism.
They landed
jokes.
sibling
Sibling
rivalry.
rivalry.
We should talk about
Yeah.
Shuri.
Oh,
We should talk about Q. We should talk about Marvel's Q.
Oh my
Because
god! Like,
Shuri,
talk about Shuri.
every joke landed so hard
When
for
she
me.
showed him the new suit, and she told him, she was like, first of all, get the suit to come on. He got the suit on. Then she said, strike it, and he was like, you sure? And then he kicks it. She was like, you just
Not
like,
that hard.
It's like a
genius.
mannequin.
yeah.
She
kick it
literally
down.
is a scene stealer. This girl.
Yeah.
Watch out for her. She's about to explode.
She's
She
been
can
everywhere.
do any
Yeah.
genre ever. She scene stealer, man.
The Coachella
You know,
line,
the
thank
same
you.
person that discovered her is the person that discovered. I was reading this Leonardo DiCaprio and said that she was the next Leonardo DiCaprio.
Wow.
I could, you know what?
Man.
I could have.
I can see it.
If you
I can
saw
see
her
it.
in this past
Black
season of Black
Museum.
Mirror and Black Museum, to go from that to this, she was in Doctor Who as well.
Yeah.
Letitia Wright is a force to be reckoned with within the acting realm, and now to be a part of the MCU, to be a young girl in the MCU, and to be younger looking, her longevity in this genre, in this franchise, is as long as she wants it to be.
I want to see her suit up. I want to see her suit
on
up.
her.
Because Shuri in the comics is
She
such
actually
a
gets
great
it.
Black
Thank
Panther.
you.
Shuri in the comics is such a great Black Panther, and I need this.
Yes.
Because Shuri, that comedy, her tech know-how, her fighting, like, I want that so bad.
Yes.
Like, Shuri suits up. Shuri wears the Black
She
Panther
actually gets the
mantle.
suit.
Yes, no,
and,
she
like, rocks it.
she becomes Black
Because
Panther.
he can't, because T'Challa becomes incapacitated. He can't do it.
At that particular point, he can't. He's literally comatose,
Yep.
and somebody
I'm so
has to
glad
take over the mantle.
having a
of Black
non-comic
Panther.
fan here
she
is so
goes
exciting.
through the entire ritual.
She goes through it to earn
She
it.
goes through it. She does the heart-shaped herb, but it's different in the comics where she takes heart-shaped herb and she goes to the Panther god Bast, and it's like, I'm ready to become Black Panther, and at that point the god's like, no, you're too arrogant. This isn't going to happen. And she goes, I'm going to do it anyway.
Whether you like it or not,
So-
Bill.
Designed it. So
Yeah.
how cool is that?
Yeah, so she
Yeah.
has, she
She
has
gets
like,
to wear her own design.
and she's got the Iron Man ability to know the suit better than anyone. Like,
Exactly.
you know what I mean? Like, the War
She's
Machine's
the Iron
great.
Woman.
Iron Man knows the suit. Like, you have that play,
Yeah.
and I love that she was so captivating that I want to see that.
And let's just do this little tangent real quick, because Infinity War trailer, you have Iron Man doing the bleeding edge armor,
Yeah.
which we were waiting for. Let's be honest, he's been in a clunky suit for like a while. In Black Panther, they established that Shuri has invented the bleeding edge
edge.
armor. She does that for Black Panther.
Yeah.
So
iPhone
all
X.
I want to know, since Infinity War is after all of this happens, is does she have Tony try out the try out the Iron Man suit like she does
They
T'Challa?
have to team up.
Sure.
Well,
No. I want her.
Minds.
I want her
That'd
to
be
be like,
happy.
This is new armor for you.
Hey,
hit
colonizer,
gonna happen.
colonizer,
Hit
hit
it.
this.
I want Shuri and Peter
Hit it
Parker to
again.
date. I want Spider-Man and I want Peter Parker and Shuri to date. I want to see with them too. I want two science geeks just geeking out at each other, and I want to see that interaction so
I
bad.
want
This
her
is
and
what you
Tony
call
Stark
webbing?
Yeah.
to
This is
open
what
up
you
a
call
shop.
webbing?
Be amazing.
This
That
is
would
nothing.
be-
Right?
Like, just because it works does not mean it cannot be improved.
Exactly. Oh.
You know,
was
that's
amazing.
a great
Yeah.
line that lets you know
Whoa.
that apply to a lot of the things. I think one of the biggest parts too is that there's some questions that still have to be answered. Like in the film, we see that T'Challa takes what is supposedly the last heart-shaped herb. It's supposedly. Will there be more found?
Oh
You know.
no, I'm sure they will be able to grow more.
You know, but
they have the capacity to, but I assume that it takes so long that the reason why they have so many
Because of the
is
yeah.
because it takes a while. Perhaps it takes a generation, and they've had these generations going on back to back.
Mm-hmm.
So to burn all of those is geez,
But-
that's a hell of a thing.
We need to talk about the Manums. We haven't talked about Chadwick Boseman yet.
We haven't talked about a lot.
So
We've been fanning
the
out
show's at about an
on
hour, and we've
things.
yet to talk about the man
Oh
himself.
my God!
Chadwick
kind of-
Boseman.
kind of-
Should we?
Kind of hinted it.
So
Yeah.
Chadwick Boseman,
We
his
should-
Character
we
actor.
should.
in the open, yeah.
Epic.
I want to say one. Can I mention that the last kid in the movie, Alex Hibbert, was only in amazing movies to date, and I think he's Patriot. Can I mention that?
Moonlight.
Can I mention that I think he's Patriot? I think that kid is Patriot. I think,
better be.
I
They
think
said
he's
he is,
Elijah.
yeah.
I think he's Elijah.
I think they said he is somebody because
I'm
it is.
okay
That's
with
my
that.
theory. I think he's
okay.
because if you
I think
notice,
it, sets
it was
up.
too obvious that he's
too
Doesn't
big of
it
a part.
set it up?
It's too
Doesn't
big.
it set it
He's
up though
too
for
big
him
of
to
a
be
kid actor right
Patriot
now.
after we came out of Civil War?
Koi
It
Key
does.
confirms. Koi Key confirms. I think that kid's Patriot.
Koi Key.
Koi Key confirms. Call me
Koi
out, Matt.
Key.
So I think that's happening.
Is that what we
Dude,
are? Koi
Moonlight,
Key.
Shy.
Moonlight,
And
Shine,
now-
Black Panther. I
Come
think
on.
he's Patriot.
Has
So
to be.
Black Panther himself is a character that is so hard to get right because it's James Bond meets politics, meets history, meets culture, meets Batman. And Chadwick Boseman does not.
Means African culture.
It's so important that Chadwick Boseman was everything and open to being a king and landing this because the movie is around him, but the supporting cast is so strong that if he wasn't strong, it would have been a tricky leveling act.
And then
he nailed it.
And then also you have to depict this character that is we haven't really had this. He is a king, and the way that he is defined is by the country that he rules, by the people that he surrounds himself with. I mean, people are all caught up in things like, Game of Thrones or, other properties that they see royalty depicted in. I mean, for this in fictional, not in real life. And we love, confrontation in those particular instances. We love to see, this person's about to kill this person, or dogs are going to eat this person finally, kind of a thing. And with this property, you get, I feel, for me personally, as close to a real world scenario as you would get for this person that was born into this circumstance and this expectation of being a ruler of a country that is untouched by colonialism, which colonialism, which we have not run across before, because it very few instances exist in our world for this. Not only that, but is surrounded, and this is what tradition, he's surrounded by these warrior women. And by warrior women, I mean his consul. I mean Ramonda, played by Angela Bassett, his mother. I mean Okoye, played by Denai Guerrera, as his general. I mean Nakia, played by the Wakandan spy. I mean Shuri, played by the head of the Wakandan design group. And keeping in mind that Wakanda has had their hands in delivering technology into the world, under the radar since before they established in the MCU, which they established in 1992. Before then, so you have this person, and I guess what I'm really addressing right here is the criticisms that some people have had with T'Challa. And they were like, oh, I wanted more T'Challa. I wanted him to be more ferocious. I wanted him to be more such and such. And I'm like,
That's so been there, done that,
This is a person that I would want to be my leader. Someone that has the admiration and the respect and leads the people around him. He is a good man trying to be a good king.
We had two lines that stuck out that tie into exactly what you said. One, when you had it's hard for a good man to be king. Well, 3 lines. It's hard for a good man to be king.
By T'Chaka.
You get to decide what type of king you become.
Mm-hmm.
And I forgot the exact words that Ramona told him when it was his time to take his place as the throne.
Yeah.
So because everyone wants him to be this type of king, we're all putting our concepts and our thoughts of what type of king we want T'Challa to be.
Yeah.
But granted, we know it's a written character. But Chadwick Boseman, the actor who portrays him, has to figure out what type of person do I want this king to be. What again, I always will go back to the king that walks the streets of Wakanda. He is the king, the ruler.
And they showed that twice, which I love.
Twice.
Yeah, that was so important.
He's
So
in the
on
streets.
He's part of his people.
He's just I'm chilling, I'm kicking it. We all just out here.
So we have to get to the news because it's been an hour of review. We're gonna a long show, and the internet. Please,
One last thing.
yes.
How do we feel about the Soul Stone?
It's in
Because I
Necropolis.
know-
It definitely is.
It's
There's
in-
no way it's not. That's
it's
how
in
we touch to the
Necropolis.
dead. That's where the heart
Plain and
urns come
simple.
from, and that's why the sand is so orange.
That's why sand
It's
is orange.
happening. That's right there. I'm
It's
just
there.
waiting.
It's just that I'm glad we didn't. But you know what? I'm glad at first, and I was one of those people who thought we were going to talk about it in the film.
Nah, too much.
No.
I'm glad
Didn't
they
need
never
it.
did. I'm glad they
Didn't
never.
need it.
Let's do that in this movie that comes out in May. We get to that point, but we all know it's there.
I would also
and
like
plus,
a gif of that moment of
of
the
this
orange sand high five of Black Panther.
Also, the reason you know the Soul Stone is in Wakanda. Come on with me, Markia. Black people have soul.
Oh, we love Soul.
All right.
Love the South.
So I also think in the sequel we get Namor. By the way,
I didn't
Well,
enjoy
his toy,
that. I
his
enjoyed
toys.
that. I also
There's a
enjoyed
display
Doom
that had his toy out.
I think Namor is in 2, and I think they're going to tie in the history of Wakanda with the history of Black Panther. And I think the grandfather we see in that opening segment has deals with Namor, and then things fall apart, and we have to deal with like the ramifications of that in Black Panther 2. My theory.
That would be interesting. It would be what Hudlin had, like set forth, at that point. I have no problem with that being the sequel. Also, I love Doom War.
Yeah.
In the sense that it's a good continuance, and I think that in the right hands, it could be done very well.
100%.
But talking about Soul Stone, though, somebody on Twitter, and I'm sorry, I forget who brought it up, said that, hey, how about Soul Stone is buried within the vibranium meter, and it took them a while to actually mine it. So then, as soon as they,
Unearth
and
it.
actually, this is me exfoliating on that. As soon as they, be like, hey, what the crap is this? And then Thanos is like,
I smell it. I smell a stone.
Before we leave to news, Shiny Diver X in the live chat, the final battle taking place on a literal underground railroad. I did not see that. That is beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
I just wanted to give credit to that because that is not as that there were so many allegories and metaphors. I can't wait to dissect this film like a book.
Hey.
I did not see
That's
that.
an interesting point to make.
And when you bring it up, bury me at sea like my body and my ancestors who knew it was better to die than be in bondage.
The live chat. Thank you for pointing out things I didn't even see. We got to get to the news
All right,
because
let's do
we've dove an hour. I wanted to make sure
Yeah.
we earned this.
Holy crap.
and
And
we
there's
could-
so much more.
I could go
There's so
another.
much to talk
I could go
about,
another
man.
The
2.
lore alone.
This is a historical moment in the world and
It is
film.
a cultural moment.
It truly
So,
is.
Aunt Anthony, is it cool if we go another like
America
15?
ruled this weekend. Sorry,
Thanks,
I'm
America.
just gonna say that.
Yeah, it's
Thanks,
all good.
America.
Okay, cool. So now
And
we
Anthony.
end spoilers for those watching on YouTube and those listening. Fast
America
forward.
and Africa.
It's a quite the spoiler episode. We're gonna go to the news, and first, I have been very, very excited and calming myself about the glory that is the Deadpool trailer, meaning that marketing is beginning. We got a marketing startup. That right there is the very first
The
standee.
Stanton.
And that is my boy Wade riding a unicorn in a cinema as one should do. And that unicorn seen some stuff.
Does he have his thumb in his mouth?
I think
because
so.
I hope he does.
Thumb in mouth, gun in other hand.
Because either that or like a shh,
And-
because he's riding his unicorn.
Yeah.
Oh
and
my
let's,
And I
goodness.
adore
let's
that.
just say the mane of that unicorn is probably a bit crusty from the experiences they've had together.
I think it's I'm riding my unicorn.
That is it is a finger up. Yeah. I need the world to know that marketing for Deadpool is some of the best movies you ever see. The marketing for Deadpool 1, I think, changed marketing. That trailer dropping means marketing Deadpool 2 is gearing up. I'm excited, so you're gonna see.
Yes,
I
we're
want
all excited.
Deadpool has to host SNL.
Oh, good God, I would lose my mind.
Not Ryan Reynolds. Deadpool.
Or at least have him have like 2 to 3 sketches where he just appears.
Out of nowhere.
You think the sketch is going okay, like SNL does, and then Deadpool shows up with like a chimichanga and
Just walking through?
and he has a boombox with like whatever he feels like
just
playing
saying
that
anything's
night.
into this frame.
Yeah, and
Imagine
then
all
that's
the
all you
fourth
need.
wall, all the fourth wall jokes he can make, just breaking the fourth wall.
He can literally.
Yeah, I'm
it's-
saying just 3.
It's
just
an
3.
SNL set.
Just give
He
me
could
3.
literally break fourth walls. He could break walls, breaking the fourth wall on a live show on air.
Tell me
Give
it
me
doesn't
this.
relate to people that aren't Marvelites
It's gonna
also.
happen.
It's like there's this weird guy in a suit. He just did something.
I want it. I want it so bad. So Deadpool has begun ramping up. That is only a news story that I wanted to fully flesh out because it's my boy, but that is a standee that I am making bigger news. We also have Spider-Verse details that dropped this week, and I hadn't realized how little they talked about. Live Schreiber is in Spider-Verse, which is exciting. I think he's Kraven, by the way.
I can see him being Kraven the
I'm
Hunter.
gonna go ahead and drop that. More Koike confirms this week.
Well,
I think he's Kraven.
But see, I
Koike.
thought they were doing a Kraven film.
I thought they were.
Let's do it Koikea. Because it's just like,
yeah.
Let's do
Let's do the whole
Koikea.
Marvel movie news
I like
together.
that. Koikea.
Koikea confirms.
That sounds
Kraven.
nice.
It does.
I like it.
But I
Sounds like a
thought
nice
they were.
scent.
But I thought they were doing. No, I'm fine with that. But I was told because I was under the impression because they were doing Venom, Silver and Black, Mysterio supposed to be coming, and Kraven.
Bruce Campbell's Mysterio.
Mysterio? How did I miss this?
Yeah, you didn't hear they're supposed to be doing a Mysterio film.
Think about the
Yeah.
visuals you could do Inception style with Mysterio.
And that's why. And that's
like, you just
why.
dive- like Doctor Strange.
Doctor
visuals with
Strange type
Mysterio.
visuals with Mysterio.
That'd be amazing. That's what Bruce
Yes.
Campbell. Bruce Campbell, I think, is my Mysterio because Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3 with Sam Raimi, they kept leading up to him being bigger and bigger. What if the best meta joke is you make that character finally land and he's Bruce Campbell's
And
Mysterio? That voice come out of the
Oh
fishbowl.
my god. Oh my god. No.
I got weird casting,
Oh my
guy.
god. No.
I got weird casting. So I think Live Schreiber is Kraven because the animation style would be really cool to have him like hunting and going through the jungle
Yeah.
and like then have the jungle of New York.
What
be
he
he's
did is
pursuing.
he did a Sabretooth.
There it is.
There we go.
Come on. So there's the magic.
We're all on the same page.
So they interviewed Live Schreiber over at Collider, and he said, quote, "It was actually the animation team, the guys who were working on it. I saw their work and said, wow, these guys are special." And it is. It's going to be pretty special from what I've seen so far, and I haven't seen much, but it's pretty special. They're super talented. Just working with them in the brief time that they did on my stuff, I've been in a bunch of these different situations, and these guys have their ducks in a row, and they're collaborative. That's what I love about it, but it's also anamorphic. Ooh, I don't know if I should have said that, he says with a laugh. If that's something you didn't know about the film, is that it's amazing for an animated film to do that well. Anamorphic is the stretched out format, and it really is a much broader, bigger canvas, which is unusual for animation because you're generally trying to focus on the action. These guys have decided to go anamorphic with it, and it's stunning. If you've seen that trailer, you already get a sense of what it is. I have never thought about the fact that the aspect ratio in an animated film could change everything. That's brilliant.
Wait. Can I cut back really quick to Black Panther? Just
Yes!
really quick.
Always!
Wait,
Oh my god,
did
let
you
me
notice-
hand you an action figure.
Wait. Did you
Black
guys
Panther
notice? Did you guys notice that I think for 3 specific acts in the film, it switched to anamorphic aspect ratio?
I did.
During the fights.
Oh,
Yeah.
you mean,
During the
yeah,
fights
you
with the
mean like
va-
the
va-
actual,
The
yes.
aspect ratio changed.
Why was
went up.
that?
I am assuming because they shot it with the intention of changing for 3D, but then like they decided to make the whole movie. I've never noticed that in a movie before on purpose, but
Yeah.
it happened 3 times. I noticed that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, something with the final battle, like when you see it, for me, it feels like it's kind of slowed down a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I know those stuntmen were freaking going for it.
Yeah.
Going for it. I talked to Damien, how do you say his last name? Portier?
Portier?
Portier.
Portier.
Like-
One of those two.
Yeah, it's not Portier. So it's Portier. I've never actually had to say his last name in real life.
Yeah.
Until this moment.
And that's when you realize, like, M'Baku, you don't know how to say it correctly to the movie.
No. I had a conversation with him though, where it's like he's like, I know these stunt guys. I retweeted it on my Twitter, and he's like, those guys went for it.
Yeah.
Went for it. And then when I saw the movie the 3rd or 4th time, I was like, wow, they slowed this down. They had to. And then all I could think of were all those other stunt movies, like Blade included, where
Yep.
they had to
When
be
they
like,
fought the
hey,
first
you're going too fast.
Yeah.
We cannot keep up.
Apparently it's
I
Lee
think
Schreiber.
who was the other
he's
person they had
Russian.
to do that with? Jet
Yeah.
Li. Who was the other person they had to do that with?
Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee. Was it Bruce Lee?
Bruce Lee was the first. They were like,
Jet,
you
they
can't
did it too in the
film-
one, and they did Jet Li in the one
Bruce
too.
Jet.
But back in the day, Bruce Lee was filming. They were like,
They're like,
Can
gotta
you slow down?
Yeah.
He moved too
Stop being
fast.
so epic.
That says something for this day and time that they had to ask those stuntmen and be like, hey, we're just going to slow this down.
the movie's stunts were incredible. We'll talk more Black Panther next week.
Sorry.
Next week.
No. We have
we-
a stunt woman coming in. We can talk stunts on
We've
purpose.
got a Dora
with zeal.
Milaje
So
next week.
anamorphic frame is a wider frame. There's different frames styles in movies, and look into this. It's really fascinating. That means they have more width to deal with, so they have more cityscape.
height.
Exactly.
Indeed.
So that's not normal for animation. What they're saying is they're playing with that, and I really think that Spider-Man is a character that ties into animation really well because the exhilarating feeling of jumping off a building and swinging through the canyons of New York. If you get that in an animated and do it right, and the animation looks perfect to me. I love the frame rate. I love the animation style. I love the dot matrices. This could be something really special, and if they have Liev Schreiber on it, then the script's got to be great.
And it makes the product look more cinematic and more classic, and it's like very Tarantino and very all the Oscar movies. It's just that style of shooting.
And for it to
Yeah.
come
Love
out
that
in
they're bringing
theaters in
it
December,
into-
that's huge. That means
Come
they
on.
trust it. That's a December theatrical release is ginormous for an animated film.
And
Yeah.
and again, everyone is wondering, does this plug into the Sonyverse or the Sony Spider-Verse? Or again, there's been talk of, well, long story short, if you didn't know, the Spider-Verse is connected to the MCU. Long story short,
Yeah.
it's connected.
Definitely.
So it's just seeing if this will play into that.
Right.
Yeah, and I had a Twitter user. Sorry, once again, forget your name. But they were like, "Oh, who's gonna get suited up first? Miles, Spider-Man, Shuri, Black Panther. It was Falcon with Captain
America.
America.
Yeah.
And somebody else with Iron Man. It wasn't Riri though. It was somebody else.
I mean,
with Iron
Miles
Man.
is December.
Miles gets it
I'm
technically.
telling you, Miles,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, out of that, those choices.
I think
We're
that the
gonna have
Spider-Verse
Miles-
is going
I mean,
to
we're
be
still
so
going to have
special.
Spider-Man from the way that they're setting
Oh,
it
yeah,
forth.
they're separate.
But yeah, Miles, hands down. I doubt between now and then.
Yes,
we're
D
gonna
Money's
have-
in the chat room. The Spider-Verse is connected to the MCU, and I'll just say this real quick. If you haven't heard, they talked about it last week with Venom. If you haven't heard, Tom Holland's in the movie. Next question. Tom Holland's in the movie.
Now, Michelle Pfeiffer is giving an iconic performance, according to Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige's been getting lots of quotes. We got a bunch of Kevin Feige quotes. Kevin Feige was interviewed by Vulture and said about Pfeiffer, quote, "I don't want to say too much, but I will say that she's every bit as iconic and amazing in this part as you would imagine. People ask sometimes about movie stars and star power and who's the most exciting person to be around, and the truth is that once you get to know them as people, they don't feel like movie stars. Everybody's just a super impressive human. But in a room full of movie stars, Michelle Pfeiffer rises to the top." Wow. So he said it wasn't the excitement of Downey Jr. or Chris Pratt that everybody turned their heads. It was Michelle Pfeiffer saying, quote, "You can tell how big Michelle is because all the other movie stars are going, is that Michelle Pfeiffer over there?" So I am wondering just how big a part we get for Ant-Man and the Wasp because they haven't shown Michelle Pfeiffer. We have our theories about who she is. And that I think is going to be Jennifer Van Dyne.
Jennifer
Back
Van
from the microverse. So when Jennifer Van Dyne comes back from the microverse, maybe it's a bigger part. Maybe she's in this movie a lot more than we think she is. I think it's a bait and switch, not showing her in the trailer.
Ooh.
Because you don't cast Michelle Pfeiffer for 5 minutes. You don't put Michelle Pfeiffer in the MCU to be like...
Maybe
Is that
this-
true?
No.
Because we've seen
maybe
that happen before.
She reads comics now because of how big her role is in this. She picks
Okay.
up comics.
She would not have bothered to do that if
Yeah.
she wasn't very invested.
I think Janet
in
Van
this
Dyne's
property.
big in this movie.
I'm telling you, I'm thinking we're going to spend a whole lot in the quantum realm than we think that we're going to spend in the quantum realm. I
Well,
mean,
we're phase
yes,
three. We're phase what, 3 now? Or
yeah,
4?
phase
This is
three.
the end of Phase 3.
This is the end of phase 3.
Possibly
So phase 4
leading
is
into 4.
so no
possibly.
going after Infinity War is going into 4, correct?
I think they're going to end Phase 3 with Infinity War Part 2, which is untitled as of yet.
Okay, so that's Secret Wars. But so basically we're going
Or
into
an
the
Infinity Gauntlet.
yeah.
There's so many things that could... the end of what Infinity War could be is
Yeah.
the scope of where it lands. Like Secret Wars, the new Secret War, Infinity
the
Wars,
Annihilation,
Infinity Gauntlet,
so much.
Annihilation, like...
It's secret invasion all over this
So
place.
that's where it ends.
My head
Phase
is
But yeah,
spinning.
but they're going to. But it's more so. But they are going into the quantum realm more and going
Agreed.
to quantum realm in
Yes.
space and things like that. So
What
yeah.
realm
It
are we
seems
in
like
right
that.
now?
Midgard. So
We're
I...
in Earth's Asgard, Wakanda.
Wakanda, yeah, that's where we are today.
We're in Alhambra.
So, Alhambra, such a weird place. Kevin Feige also addressed the costume colors for the Captain Marvel photo that leaked, saying, quote, if you want to film out in public, and Captain Marvel's a lot of scenes that will be shot on location, it's going to happen. Everything is filmed by paparazzi nowadays, so years ago we decided if it's going to happen, let it happen. Most people are savvy enough to know they're looking at a behind-the-scenes photo completely out of context, so we don't do things like rush photos. We release some concept art of her with different colors. People online have correctly identified what's going on there. Yes. That is an early Kree suit.
Yes.
Captain Marvel
yeah.
will wear the right colors. Yes.
Yes.
Kevin Feige's probably sick of answering this question.
He's
Yeah,
look, Kevin Feige should have told
please.
y'all, look, we got Jude Law's Marvel. If you know what this comic book is about, that is what that suit is. Leave me the hell alone.
Yeah. No,
I feel bad for
please
that man.
understand. You will get your Captain Marvel that you recognize. Well, your Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel that you recognize, and those colors. You will get that definitely. And then for people like me that love your Monica Rambeau, I believe that we will get our own version of Captain Marvel, probably maybe lead directly into Spectrum and then just kind of skip the Captain Marvel moniker. But then also that would skip Pulsar, I believe.
It's going to skip a lot
It's going to
of
skip a
things.
lot.
She said
to
too
go
many names for a
straight
movie to really
into Spectrum. Well, it wasn't her own fault. Other people
No,
kept
no,
on.
no.
They
Writers
kept on
came in
taking.
like-
They kept on taking her names.
Right.
And
She
was
kept
like,
being
you
like,
know
yo,
what?
I'm going to be this person. So
It's
now
like, you know
want
what? I'll be your auntie. You can have this.
I'd love if she flips through like a notebook of different costume designs like Spider-Man 1 and it's all the different characters Monica Rambeau's been.
Yeah, but yeah, well, I'm hoping that we have her as Spectrum then just right away, and we'll just off to the races with that and have those have that fun with her. But if we wanted to do any kind of Marvelite thing, anything like that,
We got 2 more quotes and we'll dive into we have a lot of news today for all the hour of
No.
Chris Evans, this is one of the big stories, accidentally may have revealed to ET Canada that Black Widow is much more confirmed than we had been led on to believe, saying, quote, there's nothing Marvel Studios can't do, and I'm sure it's going to have the exact same effect when Captain Marvel comes out, and then the Black Widow movie comes out. Marvel just has this winning recipe, and they're kind of one step ahead of everyone else. So that was Black Widow pretty definitively stated as fact. I think Black Widow.
Do you think he leaked it, him just saying, like, I think Kevin Feige says, listen, here's what you say. Say it this way. This way you keep the rumor mills going, because if it's happening, it's happening. But people stay talking about it.
Yeah.
Again,
Publicity.
publicity.
Indeed.
The biggest thing in marketing is make them talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what would make us talk? A Storm Solo movie.
Boy, that would make us
That
talk.
make us talk so hard.
Yeah, that could actually get done.
So we're going to do 2 more stories, and we're not going to talk about the Lego spoils Infinity War, because I don't like spoilers. I don't like that toys do it. We're going to ignore that. But before we get there, Kevin Feige has responded to the all-female Avengers film. Now, A-Team, what I think is that it's A-Team. I think A-Team's happening.
A-Team, it has to be.
Kevin Feige addressed the possibility with Vulture when he asked about it, saying, quote, it is an embarrassment of riches. Even watching the I love that. Even watching the audience at the Black Panther premiere respond to Lupita, Letitia, and certainly Denai in their action sequences. You watch Denai spinning around in that casino, taking out dozens of people, and you go, of course you can make a whole movie about that. It is all about finding out when and how. But by the way, many of them have already filmed additional scenes in upcoming movies, so some of that is going to come sooner rather than later. All of them will be seen again. Infinity
they
War
will.
is going to be so full. I think A-Team's happening.
Infinity War is going to be 7 hours long.
I can't wait. I want.
I'm here for all 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Give me the
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings extended
With an
edition. Return of the
intermission,
King.
I'm
like a
here-
Broadway
Yeah,
play.
dude.
I'm
give me
here
that.
for every death
Yeah.
that we'll have to
New
experience.
concept of movie.
man, I'm
theaters.
bringing a
Love
box
that.
of
Oh my
tissue.
God,
I'm bringing a box of tissue. I'm staying away from this woman because I can't deal with your tears.
Oh my God, I get so emotional during movies. This is why I don't watch movies in public unless it's like, Marvel. And I just kind of have to.
And then it's magical. Watching
and then
Ricky
it's-
watch Black Panther.
Oh
It's a whole
my
experience.
God, I mean, just Black Panther in general, and Marvel movies in general. I've seen it like 3-4 times, and I keep on crying at the same spots, and I know.
There's nothing wrong with, there's nothing wrong with that.
I know it's
There's
coming
no,
up.
there's nothing wrong with
I know
that.
that
Nothing wrong-
sunset
Listen,
is coming
there's nothing
up,
wrong with that.
and I
There's
know what's going to be
nothing wrong with
said,
that.
and I just.
Our final story of the day. Before we move on to Marvelites, and guys, I am sorry I've been having to speed read these quotes. I know some of you get upset about how fast I read, but we have a lot of news, and we had to talk about Black Panther for an hour because Black Panther is so important.
It is a cultural event, and I hope that you joined us in on that. And if you have not, then please watch it.
And then come back and watch our spoilers.
And then join us in on that.
I just
and
like to
tweet
say,
us.
I love how Marquia sounds like the women in all of the Feed the Children commercial, but instead of feeding the children, she's like,
But
please.
I'm not trying to sell you
So
something.
she's not selling you anything.
When
She's
she's
like,
Sarah
I'm not
McLachlan
trying to
music.
sell
she's
you
Sarah
anything.
McLachlan. Right.
music
In the
just
arms
says
of an
Fred.
angel is playing under everything she's
If
saying.
you don't watch Black Panther, that's what you're doing to her soul. You're arms of an angeling her. Every moment you don't watch Black Panther, you're a dog in a kennel.
I'm trying to sell you
the
a
cultural
moment.
experience.
So
Well, it's like, yes, it's a cultural
so
experience, but it's
enriching.
also an invigorating of your soul. If
really
you
is.
have not ran across this before, you are having this now. And this is the time to have it now. See it now while people are still going to theaters. Don't see it like...
Don't sound
Don't
like
see
there
it
it is.
like,
There it is.
oh,
There it is. That's a
no.
strong pitch. It's a
This is
strong
the
Don't
pitch.
pitch.
see it at
I'm
like
just saying.
10 a.m. on a Sunday where nobody else is in the theater because
see it
it's
with
not,
people. It's
it's
I wish
not
I could
quite
hit a
the
high
same
pitched voice right now, but I
experience.
can't. Yes.
Our final story of the day is another Kevin Feige quote. He said again to Vulture that regarding the Black Order's voices, who are not confirmed yet, we don't know who they are, there are interesting people doing the voices you'll probably know when you see the movies. We have big actors doing the Black Order. Obviously, that was assumed, but hearing Kevin Feige say it, I want Nick Offerman in there somewhere.
You know who I'm mad can't be in there? Because he was already Steppenwolf Ciarán Hinds. Because I would have loved to have him instead of... I mean, him as Steppenwolf, the voice was nice, but could you imagine him being one of the Black Order?
Yeah.
He does have the depth.
The depth that you need.
The depth for that.
Who was the actor who played Candyman?
Did you not want Foster
Tony
for
Todd.
anything?
Tony Todd.
Oh my
I
God.
want Tony Todd.
Tony
Yo,
Todd.
I want Tony Todd as be my victim.
Dude, Tony Todd in
I've
there?
worked with
Anywhere.
him.
Yeah.
I
He's a
will
good
say
guy.
though,
Yep.
I wouldn't mind them having somebody like Cole Obsidian that's just doesn't match his voice. I will be
Just comedy
I will be
in the-
completely honest.
Nick
But-
Kroll
but
as a
like-
voice.
Yeah, yeah.
But just like barely doesn't match, like Terry Crews or something like that. Just barely doesn't match.
I
where
want
it's just
Kevin
like it
Hart
does.
as a member of the Black Order.
Oh my goodness.
Is Morgan Freeman?
Tony-
Morgan Freeman forgot about it.
Thanos, get the baby. Thanos, get the baby out the oven. Thanos, listen.
That goes too far.
So, gang, that was a lot of news and a lot of spoiler. Let's get some Marvelite love in there.
Caleb B at Cabe8901, Kenneth Lott at Klot11, V Nightwing at Victor J441904663, Purple Jeebus OG at Purple Jeebus OG, Adrian Showcroft at SWW Ulf 36, Jer Silvera at Sexy Jer Bear, Missy Zorel at Missy Zorel, Gilly at Greg the Gamer, Timothy Powell at Powell Timothy, Shelby Lightning Hammer at social media. Jay
Fantastic.
Washington at Mr. J Washington.
Oh, yeah, that's me.
hi.
That's me. Right.
Vanessa John, Markia talking about Black Panther and what it means to her. Oh, really warmed my heart. Can't wait to see it. Oh, Vanessa, see it. It's so good. Zachary Perot, I am Zach next week, and I am for sure watching. Haven't missed an episode for nearly 2 years. I didn't know my girlfriend submitted a birthday shout out for me. That was awesome. Thank you guys. This was the birthday shout out.
Yeah,
last
that's
week.
awesome.
Yeah.
Now it's his birthday because it was next week. Happy birthday again,
Happy
Zach.
birthday,
Zach
Zach.
this week?
Zach next week. Yeah. And then a number of things that we have already answered.
I agree. Ryan Coogler calling his stuntmen brave is impossibly important. Stuntmen
Yes.
and women are so underappreciated.
Please, we will have a stunt
Especially
woman
with all the recent
on
deaths,
next week. She also plays the Dora Milaje. Her first name is Janicia. I'm sorry, I don't remember her last name right this second, but we will have her next week. And if you look at my Twitter, then I have the stuntmen that were Killmonger and T'Challa on my Twitter right now. Please recognize, please support. And then other things. Yeah, already said myth of black movies don't sell international. That's ridiculous. It's totally a myth. Elton Arthur. Hey, Koi Marquia, I really want to be a screenwriter and maybe a director. Have you got any advice or ideas? Thanks. Love your work on Popcorn Talk, Marvel Movie News. Ronen, Jay.
Ooh, being in TV and film, I would say one of the biggest things is study various arts of it. Don't just look at one type of cinema, one type of film. Look at all the different varieties. Allow yourself and allow your mind to be open to a variety of ideas. Don't just have one idea and say you're stuck with that and that's what you're going to be, because that idea will evolve into so many other ideas and it's so many different things when it comes to story building, character development, and so on and so forth. So I would just say have an open mind, do as much studying, get as much knowledge and education as you possibly can, and then start fleshing out your ideas.
Yeah, and literally to add to all of that, just write something that's passionate to you and that connects to you, and that could be written from your own personal heart and soul without trying to think about like what could sell or what might be a good pitch, or all the best scripts come from that writer's soul and something that's passionate and important to them, and that's why those stories work, because they're written from a much deeper place than just I'm writing for a gig. So
my biggest piece of advice is to do it as much as you can. Like, write as much as you can, direct as much as you can. You've got a phone, you've got friends, just make things, create, do everything you can, and you'll get better and better at anything. You'll learn the skills required, and just wanting to just start putting it in action, put it out there. And someone in the live chat I want to mention, while on this subject, we did not give enough love to Ryan Coogler today. I agree.
Oh my God! Did we not?
I intentionally, I thought intentionally, next week when we have someone that was on set, we could lean into Ryan Coogler. Very intentionally, Ryan, we had so much to talk about. Ryan Coogler was the force of nature behind this movie. Ryan Coogler is 3 for 3 on Perfect Films. Ryan Coogler is one of the most important voices and names in the entertainment industry. Period. Hard stop. We will discuss Ryan Coogler far longer than we could have today. We did not forget him. He King Coogler. That will be discussed. I promise you.
Indeed. And please, like, search him on Google, because when he was 21, he established like the main theater in Oakland that when he was 21, that he wanted to present a film there that would represent what he felt was important and integral. And yes, Black Panther was most of those films, most of those theaters this past weekend. But really quick to say to Elton Arthur, so you want to be a screenwriter, maybe director. I know it can be very difficult getting out of your bed sometimes during the morning. I understand, and I completely get that. Maybe those days that you are not able to get out of your bed, then maybe do have a notebook and a pencil or something of that sort next to it, so that you can write down those feelings to get them out of your body where they should not belong, they should not be housed, and put them onto that paper. So then maybe they then relate to somebody else that has trouble getting out of that bed. So just first and foremost, I know scripts are huge. They can feel like a huge hurdle. But for that particular thing, to get that human element of what is you onto that paper, to be able to maybe give that to somebody else, does a huge step. So keep a notebook and a pencil by your bed.
All of these steps, all of the things, make stuff. We need more art. Ryan Coogler, thank you for Black Panther. We'll talk about you more next week. But before we do, where can they find you for this week?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Markia McCarty, MarkeiaMcCarty. And I'm looking forward to our nerd conversations.
Sir?
Find me Twitter, Instagram, MRJAYWSHINGTON. Thank you for all of the love and support everybody has sent me through social media. Please keep sending it. I may not get back to every single one of you because there's been so many, but please know from the bottom of my heart, it means the world. Ask her how much her and I have talked. So
that's why I have him on today.
He's alive.
Thank you,
Back
everyone.
in action.
And anything you wanted to pitch? Where can they find you?
Seriously, thank you for having me on the show. You're a dear friend of mine, and I appreciate that you do this.
Yeah, man.
Period. Thank you, guys. Pleasure to meet all you.
Absolutely, Ronen.
You can find me on Instagram at RONEN RUBINSTEIN.
And you can find me on all social media at COYJANDREAU, and Black Panther meant the world to me, and sharing it share it with everyone.
It meant the world to the world.
So thank you guys. We'll see you next week.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of its owners or principals.